Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru, low, low, low.
And folks, coming to you today from Slutsk. This is another monthly tourney. Sir, who do we have? What are they bringing?
Left hand side in the blue, we have a WitchDoctor, and which division he is playing is the Force Falchimiago from Maverick Income. Right hand side in red, we have a Theoman222 playing Task Force 45 with a balanced income.
You know, I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. And I was saying to you right before we got started, before you insulted and called mead budget beer, the fact that we have a situation where Task Force 45, not always necessarily the strongest of divisions, but going up against somebody who just doesn't bring oodles and oodles of tanks to the fray. I suppose the big question here is 45's infantry able to kind of stick in there with the Fallschirmjäger? I mean, the Fallschirmjäger division's fantastic infantry on the face of it. Can TF-45 kind of hold out?
Yeah, they do have the nice 90mm anti-aircraft, anti-tank guns, which can help dealing with the big bloody Panthers, because Panthers, Panzers, Tigers are probably going to do pretty good around about the southern central area of just the big open field to cover. But, I don't know, it should be pretty standoff. Both divisions do have pretty good amounts of infantry, and I do like how Theoman right off the bat is going to be bringing in the Mitchell to just bomb the northern town. Was he going for the pack?
I think he's going for the pack, yeah. Which makes sense, but the Veltro over here might be able to take him out. He's still going to go and lose the pack. One does not simply keep a pack after being hit by a Mitchell. Except he does!
Wow, lucky bugger.
Yeah, I would say don't try to buy any one of those lottery tickets here. And actually, I was waiting for the Veltro to buy it. But that is actually a devastating loss early on. Jeez, 105 points, really, for the not even getting a whole lot out of it.
Yeah, it is a shame. I was really hoping he'd maybe do something on the actual town, because the B-25 is more of a carpet bomber. The run-2 punch of bombing and then pushing through is actually pretty decent force in the town. He's got a good amount of armoured vehicles with a right quite well. He has been able to put a little bit of pressure on that Pack 40.
It would have been better for sure. Oddly enough, though, the Stuka M42, that basically that I tank, is well, it matches up kind of well against the Sherman.
Yeah, at close range it can kill it. Is he actually gonna be aggressive and go around? Because yeah, Theoman has decent armored vehicles at the front of recon, thankfully, but he really needs some infantry in front because we're seeing the Panzerschrecks are starting to maneuver about.
The thing too is that power content to the the Italian paratroopers, because I'm still butchering that despite being married to one. An Italian
paratrooper?
I knew that was
it's like this like fell into your arms one day.
I know exactly. You know what? They started invading Staten Island, and they've been there ever since. But the Sherman does go down. Panzerschreck does take that out, and the M8s do realize that discussion is better part of valor and back off. And that's what I was going to kind of say here, though, too, is that that's one thing that while they do have a good amount of material in there, is it really a benefit to be bringing all that armor into a town setting?
Yeah, it's actually a good point. He doesn't have a lot of infantry really in A phase, which I think is right. He's relying a lot more on these armored vehicles, so it's kind of buggering up right now. He doesn't have any infantry anti-tank, because that Stug can prove to be a little bit of a nuisance. The infantry, not so much. Those engineers do have the satchels to take care of him.
Yes, they do. I was looking down south, because it is 14-10 early on here. And the paratrooper scouts, I mean, they are behind the front lines over here, and they're being supported by the 81mm stovepipe and a couple more of those Italian tanks. Unfortunately, the Italian tanks, one thing that, of course, that we didn't quite mention, but is very, very important, no machine guns. When they run out of that HE material, which they do very, very quickly, well, they lose a lot of that utility.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of infantry they need to cut their way through. But it is interesting seeing how the map has developed in the southern central area, with Theoman doing a good job securing the town, but the southern side is a little bit at risk, as the paratroopers have been able to make decent progress. We're seeing good use of smoke to cover the Fallschirmjäger as they move on up. But still, I mean, Theoman's infantry, they're not the most heartened, but even a disheartened guy with a semi-automatic rifle can do a decent amount of damage, and when you get a lot of him.
True. I'm watching as one of the Strooks down south is trying to engage that M10. does not kill it just yet, but shockingly enough, he is putting... Ooh, it does eventually bring that down. That is not really stuff that TF-45 can lose without really, well, starting to feel it in the shorts eventually.
Yeah, I mean, A-Phase, he really needs to just try to... I mean, of course, as well, he has balanced income. Just try to hold, not lose by too much, and he can't really be affording to get into any crazy infantry fights, because his A-Phase infantry is all pretty much disheartened.
Yeah, the headcanon for me is always that thing, like the gunner being like, well, I'm at the front lines, where's my artillery piece? And then being like, yeah, you see that rifle? That's it, get walking, boy. We are kind of seeing, though, Sherman's sitting on top of a hillside. Do make those converted gunners an awful lot more sturdy.
Yeah, just that 1-2 punch of American fire support and American bodies to push on up. It also seems, honestly, from WitchDoctor, he seems a bit all over the place. He doesn't, especially he's having to play Maverick and be aggressive, he hasn't really made any concerted pushes anywhere really successful. He has invested in a Tiger up north, but that seems more of a defensive play to try to actually secure the town.
You know, I'm happy you made that comment. Actually, I wanted to make a quick look before we go up there. There's that last Italian paratrooper squad just outside the southern town, and he's getting absolutely shellacked. So one thing that we do have to kind of go and acknowledge is that when you have that BAR on those converted gunners, that in and of itself, at 25 points, that BAR, I think, would make that really, really solid.
Yeah, just surely automatic firepower is not bad, especially for a disheartened troop.
True. There's about the Tiger being a defensive Tiger. Originally, the orders that he had actually had him putting a little bit closer to the front lines, which is such a weird thing that he just decided to, well, not move at all. Because frankly, he could obliterate everything on the northern side. Converted gunners bring no anti-tank to the fray. And, well, you said it yourself. This is not a situation where you can go and really be wasting your time when your opponent's working balance and you're working at Maverick.
Yeah, and Theoman's doing a pretty good job just setting up good defensive lines. I mean, the center part of the map is just a defensive line through the town. And we're seeing WitchDoctor invest in another super heavy, this time an Elephant. So he's really spending a lot of his money getting these heavy tanks. But they're not going to gain you territory by themselves. Of course, they can be a very good long-term investment when brought early on. But he's also losing on an opportunity cost of, hey, you know, getting a bunch of those awesome Italian and German paratroopers to actually do some bloody work.
A weird thing for me, but then again, if you look at his cards, he probably has actually used a lot of his A-phase infantry. He doesn't have a whole lot, which becomes rather counterintuitive towards the Fallschirmjäger deck itself.
Yeah, it's probably going to come down more to that B-phase spam, because he really just needs a good amount of infantry and then good cheaper fire support, and the Elephants are a little overpriced for just being a HE slug thrower to break through the disheartened spam and actually make some bloody territorial gains.
But the one thing I do like is he actually finally is bringing in a recon vehicle, so the AB-43 moving on in. Good old SPW. Finally getting some eyes on. For 35 points, I'm not going to say it's cheap as chips, but you know what? As an expensive bag of crisps, it does its job.
Inflation.
Yeah. And when you have an elephant that you're trying to kind of backstop, that's really what you do need. Well, one thing we haven't really mentioned was the fact that though Theoman has felt like he's been really in the driver's seat consistently for this, it's only a 12-12 right about now. For the most part, up until now, it's been WitchDoctor actually driving and losing, or rather, forcing the loss of those tickets over here for Theoman.
Yeah, I think WitchDoctor's best bet is really just play the long-range game with all the super heavy tanks available along his side of the southern hill. Just use that to put a lot of pounding onto the infantry and then just slowly try to make your way up. It's not going to be the greatest idea, I think, because there's really only 2 flags you can capture. And really, with Maverick, you want to be getting that +2. So you need something to happen at north as well, but it doesn't seem... He has forces available. Maybe far north would be a decent push, but the town seems a little bit dug in.
Perversely, that elephant has actually forced, well, the M10 into an early grave, but has actually gotten himself a kill. And then not for nothing, let's be fair here, the elephant does have very thick skin. And I mean that in a very non-Animal Planet sort of fashion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're seeing the 155mm artillery going to start putting some pressure on that rather big elephant. So, of course, with heavy artillery, not going to be the instant killer against heavy tanks, but it can slowly whittle it down 1 HP at a time.
Exactly. And folks, as always, just like, jobs and everything like that, that stress really is the silent killer. So that's what to watch out for.
The slow spiral into madness.
Exactly. Man, I played Cultist Simulator. I know that definitely kills me after a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having that 155 on here is a nice, strong opportunity. One thing we actually haven't seen since the start of this, no more Mitchells have entered the fray, and I think that's actually probably a good idea under the circumstances.
Yeah, he really just needs to keep throwing in more just cheap fodder in the front line, and probably once B phase comes around, or he does have A phase 90 mils, but he's definitely going to want to set up a few of those 90 mils along his ridge line down south to try to deal with those heavy tanks.
That is true, but we are into B phase right now, so... Let's see, wait, so we still have another Tiger that has to hit the field. We have 2 Panthers, and we have Sturmpanzers. Now, I'm not suspecting a Panzer Kyle to start charging through here. Elephant claims a second kill with killing a T-70. But they do have heavy armor where it counts.
Yeah, I also think here for WitchDoctor's investment in the 81mm mortars was a very smart move. He's using them for smoke, and he's been using them to slowly whittle down these converted gunners from a rather safe distance. His main problem now is just trying to get his own infantry up to the front, as Theoman has got a pretty decent artillery park set up. He's got 155 and a 203 as well being brought in, some rather big guns, and seems a little bit of action actually happening up north. The 47mm getting into position.
All the way up north, you're absolutely correct. He's not going to last very long, though. That mod use is going to cut him down to size very, very quickly. Checking in the meantime, in that town, M10 does go and kill one of the tiny Stugs. I'm trying to see, where is that Tiger engaging? Oh, he's engaging the engineers out in the open. Okay.
Trying to get that long-range hit. We got an 81mm mortar and another 47mm support gun, so it does seem WitchDoctor is going to change gears a little bit and try to get some fire support up north to deal with Theoman's defensive position. And once again, if he can just clear it out with cheap indirect fire support, then move up as his good infantry.
Here's the problem, though. It's a feint. Look down south. We have 5 squads and some more scouting being brought on in. He's punching for the south. We have a 47mm gun that's being deployed devilishly close to that town. Not the best idea. He's actually going to lose it very, very quickly. But he's got 5 more squads and that SBW.
Yeah, WitchDoctor is slowly whittling down his front line here. And if he can just get that foothold into the town, get his Gucci infantry in here, especially with Narval heavy armor support backing him up, he should have a pretty easy time holding the south. He still has like a decent backup. He's got the AB-41 and a bunch of troops still on their transports ready to roll on down once the time is right.
Yeah, and I love that, honestly. One thing, this is the personal thing, I'm always so stoked when we have some of the units actually being in this game, like the Nisei rifles and the Nisei 6-pounder over here, excuse me, Nisei 57mm.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, man. If you want to have crazy stories, read the biographies behind the Nisei. Insane stuff, on the level of Red Tails kind of material in World War II. Really fun.
Absolutely
fun
insane lads.
Kind of like the Harlem Hellfighters from World War I, but that's a very, very different time. Elephant is going to go and start engaging some of the infantry on the, way downtown, hitting him with that big trunk of his. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to engage much longer. He's got 1 round yet. But it does seem like there's been enough pressure that the town in the south has to be yielded. And we just see there's that 1 swath of material. Now we have 2 37mm coming in as anti-air cover. He's telegraphing the fact, I'm afraid you're going to start bringing stuff, which is the right call in return. But he's also bringing 2 more Kubelwagons to kind of get those mortars back up and firing. I actually really like this counterpunch.
Yeah, he's kind of like cleared the Ray of his initial force, and now he's got, phase 2 of his Fairpunkt pretty much ready to go. It's very cool to see people actually do staging deployments and not just throwing things piecemeal. It's a error we see time and time again. And now with the town pretty much cleared and a lot of his guys ready to go, there is potential for him to just go right down the road and get to the opponent ridgeline. He's already got a foothold on the flag ridgeline on the American side, so he actually could potentially like clear the other ridge, which is usually very hard to do in this map.
Interesting call on the opposite side. So 105 Shermans. Now, as a reminder, folks, you can see right here, at least on my screen, 105s don't have AP. So this is a pure, I know you have infantry, they're scary, this is a problem. But the elephant breaks
in the
that.
room?
Yeah, oh my, ooh, well done, sir. No, but like, think about it. We have these 105s that can stop any play by just straight infantry. But what are you going to do to deal with the elephant? Like
even
said,
the AB-43s.
Well, the AB-43s, we actually did see one of them already got taken out because of it. And these guys are also close enough that the elephant can go and engage both of them with a single round. We're seeing it happening right now.
Yeah, and these heavy artillery guns are definitely going to become frontline fighters. They may want to think about becoming converted gunners somewhat soon if this push actually making headway. Just a little bit of infantry support here from Theoman is forcing some of these guys to disembark, so it's buying him some time. Hopefully he can get his heavy artillery on target to deal with the infantry more than anything.
If he even gets to the foot of that ridge, that's enough. Like that,
yep.
That's a massive victory if he even gets to the
smoke,
foot of it.
love that smoke. He's following through. Because once you get to the foothold of that ridge, like you're just kind of like covered from the slope of it, then it's very easy to just keep your highly vetted infantry in defense here, and then it's hard for Theoman, unless he's using artillery, even with artillery, to get a good angle.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That definitely is so much fun to kind of see. Now, northern side, we are seeing a B-25 moving on in. He's going to go and obliterate the northern flank, for lack of a better term. So there's going to be a Tiger that's going to be kind of prowling just above that body of water, but I don't know. Yeah, this B-25 is going to get all of its bombs off. When are we going to see that Veltro being brought back in? Apparently not.
Nope. A little bit too preoccupied with this southern push here, because this is very, effective use of that Maverick phase income, and also just taking advantage of the last few minutes she has of B phase now to actually make a significant push. It's really going to come down to whether he can secure a good position on the ridgeline, because that's really where all of these Gucci flags are located. And if he can get that +2, heck, even maybe a +3 if it gets a bit crazy, that's a pretty open and shut case.
He's going to kill the 155. The M4 is right there. Yes, that's technically an issue, but the Fallschirmjäger should be able to go and engage. Or no, he's not going to. Back off.
It's just a little bit of frontal armor goes a long way in this game.
Well, and we do actually have some Brazilians coming to the front line to kind of somber their way through things. Against Fallschirmjägers, high and tight, yeah, good call, back up.
Yeah, he really just needs to try and deal with his infantry. This would really be a better position now for those 105s to be more towards the center rather than down south. Yeah, I think he's trying to use them down south a little bit to get some long-range fire along the support road. But here comes the Focke-Wulf. 2 of him.
Yes, indeed. Oof, yep, takes out the Brazilians on the first. The second one, no, he's not. Okay.
That's a bunch of the converted gunners behind enemy lines here. I didn't even notice.
I'm pretty sure they were just they went for a walk and got lost. But okay. The Nisei rifles are now on the front lines. They're tearing into those Fallschirmjägers. Not to be outdone though, they're giving as good as they're getting. And to the northern side, converted gunners that had deployed, well, they are finding themselves really, really overextended. So this bulge, if you will, this battle of a bulge, this I think is where it gets decided is down here to the south. The north I think has become a sideshow to everything else.
Yeah, Theoman's put himself in a pretty good position up north where at this point WitchDoctor just does not want that smoke and trying to push here. So really for both sides it's just funneling down south. And even then Theo still has a nice advantage of still having that southern ridgeline under control, where you can put some of that long-range fire down with 105s. Not exactly going to be killing too much, but going to be putting down a bit of suppressive fire.
Very, very true. Sturmpanzer, in the meantime, love seeing this guy in the first place. Stug also putting fire down. But the Sturmpanzer, this actually might be enough to crack that defense. Over time, of course. But, yeah, geez. The triple strike of 2 Sturmpanzers and the Stug, that is not firepower that I'd really be able to deal with before, crying, wearing my brown pants, which started the day as being white pants, but are now brown pants.
And this is where we get to the difficult part here for Theoman, is now getting a good foothold back along the ridge. Even if he fully secures it, it's going to be difficult, because of all the fire support of the Sturmpanzers, the Elephants, the 81mm mortars, it's very easy for WitchDoctor to just suppress any sort of firepower, try and actually place itself to shoot back at him. I do actually like the Fallschirmjäger and Power Assault up in like the northern central area, going for that flag, and if he can get actually a little bit more infantry up into that flag, he can turn this into a rather expensive sideshow.
Well, that's the other thing, too, that the 155 did go down. We see there's 2 of those Brazilians being moved into the area, and the 203 is shooting where the Parra de Assaltos used to be. And let's be fair here, guys. The Parra de Assaltos in a town fight are murderous. Like, these are guys that rank up there with the Papa Shah squads. Like, this is a...
Scary.
Expensive. Yeah, terrifying. And I don't think that the Brazilians are the right... They might win by sheer dearth of numbers, but that's not really how you want to win fights.
Yeah, especially when you're considering the self-sniper of 1903 Springfield.
Almost equally fun as the Sturmpanzer is trying to engage the 203. And the 203 realizes that, yeah, I shouldn't be in this fight right about now. So he's going to get one more barrage. Oh, no. Okay.
Looking at Sturmpanzer line of sight, that's an extremely tight angle he got, yeah.
But you know what? All you need is an angle. It doesn't need to be tight or loose or anything in between.
He's also going to be pushing up the Sturmpanzers a little bit cocky here.
Yeah.
Because those Brazilian leaders do have a bazooka. And those are pretty good at blowing up tanks, if I recall.
Oh, you are absolutely correct in believing that, sir. And I think we're going to see a good example of that here. Oh, no. The Sturmpanzer just happens to slide around, maybe?
In a lot of distance. So the M4 Sherman is here and he has potential to blow up that tank.
Certainly from the side, anyway. And it's Kadoosh. Yep.
Yeah, Theoman's still down by 2 ticks here. And that's not going to be looking great for him. He only has just under 7 minutes to try to make something happen. Once again, he's managed to at least clear out most of the ridgeline, but to actually do his counterattack, and also he was starting to lose a bit up north as the Germans and Italians have managed to get a bit of a better foothold back into that northern town.
Yeah. Yeah, that Tiger... I wasn't too fond of that Tiger's position, but it's actually very, very good. Parra de Assalto pick up that flag in cheeky fashion. As 100 points of American infantry moves west down the ridgeline. He might be able to take out the Brazilian and re-secure the flag. He's behind lines now, but...
And it's just really all that heavy armor. It's mainly an elephant, which actually has gotten pretty good investment. I mean, he's used up most of the high explosive ammunition, even though it really doesn't have that much. But it's just that threat, that potential threat which it has of that long-range AT gun. Theoman just can't maneuver his tanks nearby. He can deal with the Sturmpanzers, and he's doing that, but the elephant, man.
I'm sorry, I was distracted by the Parra de Assaltos making mincemeat out of the Brazilians.
There's more Brazilians.
Yeah, but the Parra de Assaltos, the Brazilians move in, there's a 4-second firefight, and that 12-man squad becomes a 2-man squad very, very quickly, almost as fast as Fallschirmjäger squad finds itself more akin to Swiss cheese than German beer. So.
Disappearing act, you could say.
Yeah, it's like Houdini, but with bullets.
We've now got the Panther also being brought up as well to provide a little bit of extra long-range fire support. And really, for WitchDoctor, if he was to, and he is, investing in this big push up north, as Theoman is starting to regain a little bit of momentum down south. Push through up north, break through that town. That'd probably be pretty open and shut, because that's just such a good reversal and counterattack.
Well, here's the funny thing about it, too, is that the Brazilian engineers being brought in right now are being dispatched to pick up a single flag as the northern side's going to get ruptured.
Yeah. You did get actually some reinforcement, another like platoon of Nisei rifles to hold the northern flag, but the Germans will have that timing advantage here.
And also, too, I mean, geez, come on. Congratulations, you forced these guys out of a truck. Yes. You will obliterate the first one. But with the Fallschirmjäger Pioneers, they assault the Italian paratroopers all in that area. It will be bloody, but this will still be more than enough to take this town.
Yep, there will be blood. Yeah, I think maybe these converted gunners, all they have to do is buy enough time, a minute or so of those Nisei rifles will come on through.
They don't have it. They don't have it. I mean, now you have the Focke-Wulf comes in, he's going to blow up the front lines here too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
There you go.
It's down to the artillery commander. Maybe he can call in some artillery on his position. Oh, he's actually doing that.
Now, okay, there's a Tiger who's engaging Sherman to the north. Kind of funny, there's a single Sherman brought to the northern side as a bit of a cheeky, you haven't had infantry here, you just have infantry here, this is no problem anymore. And Tiger panics the crew, forces them back. And the converted gunners that had moved forward, they might take the Gustatoria paratroopers, but they're going to find themselves in a world of hurt if they continue to advance.
The Niseis do manage to get to the front line up north, he just needs to press the unload button. I do like how the Paras have managed to flank a little bit through the forest here, but yeah, the thing is there's going to be enough overwhelming fire support, and without any actual backup here, I think Theoman should be able to hold his town position.
Fair. Very, very fair. Looking a little bit further to the central position, the Elephant is still alive. The Panther is making its presence felt. And one thing that I think is probably fair to say is the Sturmpanzers were not quite as devastating as they could have been, but that's not to say that they were ineffectual either.
Yeah, it's once again just the combined presence of the M and the Elephant has just really disallowed Theoman to really make any plays in the center position of the map, because it's a massive open field, and Theoman, especially if how he's bringing out his units, is very much focused on infantry and artillery. The artillery has only been able to do so much, especially against armored vehicles. I'm actually surprised he hasn't got any of those 90mm anti-aircraft guns out.
The 90 mils, I mean, I don't know. Are they really price efficient? You know,
It's just an American Flak 88 gun.
Yeah, and I know bigger is better, but just I feel like you might as well just bury everybody in Shermans. You got 12 of them. If you have...
That gets expensive.
Yeah, I guess we need 4 Shermans to kill the Tiger. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Well,
okay.
Yeah, 13.
Oh, 13. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And that 13th one must be driven by Antonio Banderas, wielding a scimitar.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a really esoteric reference. I'm not sure that really landed or not.
It didn't land with me.
Oh, okay. Well,
One viewer will get it at least. I hope.
See, back in the Dark Ages, there was this book called Eaters of the Dead, and Michael Crichton should stick to writing Jurassic Park instead. In the meantime, converted gunners and Brazilians are starting to pinch off this Italian paratrooper push, and the Panther is getting really, really frisky, and it's going to go down.
Ooh, that was silly.
Yeah, very silly. Very,
Back
very
to
silly.
Trove, and Theoman seems he's just managed to hold off now, bringing it back to the Trove just before he completely bled out. And he is regaining that momentum quite well. I mean, knocking out the Panther is a very big play. And just looking at the rest of the map, especially center, does look a little bit lackluster here now for the Germans.
Certainly is. The Elephant has some firepower that can kind of discourage the Nisei rifles moving on in, but a single MG-34 will not a front make. And the Kubelwagens, the munitions, the stovepipes can continue to fire. They're good to go. There's one more stove being brought in. The Sturmpanzer, the last Sturmpanzer, being brought into the northern side. Where's this Tiger aiming? I thought he was engaging...
Up north?
Yeah, he's still in the
infantry.
Nisei. Yeah.
Oh, and down south we got like a squadron of M10s. Stugsman's got knocked out. And we've seen some Italian troops, oh no, Brazilian troops go against the Italian troops here to try to actually gain a foothold at the crossroad. And if he does that, yeah, I'd bring it to a nice 13-11 here. And he does have the local supply superiority in the far south to make this happen.
He does, and that's very, very fair. I think that Mitchell's going to be a nice little bit of a frosting on that cake there. Theoman, by the way, I think has a bit of a schizophrenic flag system attached, if you think about it. He's got the meatball on one side, and he's got, well, let's just say penal colony number 2 on the other.
Oh, I actually know, right? He's like half Australian, half Japanese.
Would you care to share if it's something that that you feel
Yeah, he's half
worthwhile?
Yeah, he's half Australian, half Japanese.
Okay, well in that case, then I take that back. I thought that was like a very, very weird kind of thing going on here, but I suppose that makes sense. So in the meantime, Sherman's being brought in swaths. We see 4 of them to the northern side now, and not a single anti-aircraft gun has been bought the entire time. So.
And the Yeoman WitchDoctor taps out to the Theoman.
And I think it makes perfect sense. He played his hand. It was a strong hand. Unfortunately, that last flop it didn't land.
Yeah, he was getting close, but he just needed to make it happen just a little bit sooner. Like, he kind of squandered his A phase a bit, invest in all that heavy armor.
Yeah. Although I will say, I have to take a look at this elephant because I feel like it was. I mean, KD over here is about what I would expect, fairly even. Kills, we had the T-70 that had, a small number of kills, a couple of Shermans here and there. The 1M10 to the south. There were 237 mils that we see, the Mag 4500s that were donated, and I don't know really what the point of them was.
Yeah, it wasn't even that much air cover to, like, really worry about.
And the losses, 1 Stug, but driven by Anton, picking on a bunch of PVI. The Elephant, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 vehicle kills, killing ammo and pioneers, and an Nisei 6-pounder. So, I mean, paying for itself, which is not something we can say very often for the zoo.
It's also as well, just like Sienna, it can be a difficult map to really make major breakthroughs through, just due to how the flags are located. It's kind of a hard map to really roll up on the opponents on either side, as usually like decent like 2nd and 3rd defensive lines you can just fall back on. It's not like Ocean North where the northern flank just collapses.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the Ocean North, where it's the map of a flan, really. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. But well played by both sides. I legitimately thought that first Fallschirmjäger was going to get completely, totally steamrolled, but played it very, very well up until that last phase.
Yeah, good back and forth.
Indeed. Folks, until next time then, if Frank, if you have nothing else, of course.
Nope, nothing else.
Well, folks, until next time then, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru, take it easy.